So we are live on the HACE Facebook page. Good morning to everyone. I welcome you to our Cafecito con HACE series, where we'll have weekly conversations on various topics with amazing featured guests joining us. We invite you to like, to comment, to ask any questions on the feed. If we're not able to get to all of them today, we always, our featured guest speaker has volunteered to go back and to be able to provide any resources and answer those questions on the page as well. So thank you for that. For those of you I haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Patricia Mota, and I am currently serving as President and CEO for the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement. And it is my pleasure during these times to be able to have these conversations and utilizing our technology platforms out there to be able to bring this content over to you. And today's particular topic is regarding mental health, and especially during these times when many of us are spending a lot of time at home. Also, not only spending a lot of time at home, but we also may be balancing our work, our family lives, and so many other things as well. I think it's important for us to share a conversation not only on mental health, but what is it that some resources and information that we can share today. And before I hand it over to our therapist that's joined us today, who will share a little bit more about her background, I want to do a quick plug in for our Cafe Ama. So if you haven't had a chance in the last week, the founder for Cafe Ama, one of the alumna from Mujeres de HACE in Washington, D.C., has started this initiative, which is all of the proceeds go to really supporting women and youth in entrepreneurship in the island of Puerto Rico. And so for the first three for today that submit their email address on the Facebook page, you will receive a complimentary bag. But if you have a chance, go to the website. If you get one, share one, ensure that you're paying it forward. So that's pretty timely to do with our cafecito, right, Stefany? So Stefany, tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Yes, so first of all, thank you, Patricia, for allowing me to be a part of this today. I think it's definitely needed in the community. I just want to disclose some personal things too, that I was born in El Salvador, immigrated here to the United States when I was 5 years old, was raised in Bell Gardens in Southern California. And I was very active in the community for a young age. I was very just curious, traviesa, like my mom would call me, right? And went off to college as a math major, but because of my community involvement, I majored in sociology, and that's what led me to continue my work in social work and counseling. So while I was in grad school, I actually spent most of my time doing a lot of family work, so a lot of children and family um, therapy. And after I got out of school, I kind of went full circle in all fields. So, I did child welfare. I was involved in, the court process with open CPS cases, and I was also in the hospital sector, then in nonprofits. So working with all levels of care and, children, teens, and adults. So once I completed my full circle, I decided to take a leap and go into private practice. So start my own business. I have to thank Mujeres de HACE for just continuing just my journey in like professional and personal growth. And, as I've been on my own, I've noticed just like the need of like mental health care in all sectors, right? Whether it's in the corporate world, whether it's, in the community. So it's truly been a pleasure. And especially during this time, I have to tell you that I am booked and continue to, receive referrals because of the current need. So I do hope to share a little bit more about some skills and some support, and as well as some understanding of what's happening to us at this time.
Yeah. So especially now and with everything that's going on, you mentioned that you're staying busy, right? So in general, when you look at the Latino community, right, there's this stigma on mental health, on more so, you know, the word local or loca coming out, right? Or really not understanding, right, in terms of what are the resources and being able to be okay with asking for help, right? And going to a therapist or seeking help. So currently, what are some of the trends that you're hearing or seeing in terms of some of the challenges specifically in the Latino community?
Yeah, certainly, the stigma has made it very difficult for folks to reach out. Like you said, there's this understanding that mental health is seen as as a weakness or something that you keep quiet, right? It's like a confidential, it's a very intimate thing. Even when you experience any kinds of, symptoms around, just like physical symptoms, or more so fatigue, often is seen as just, oh, it's a normal stress, right? My mom always says, "Tómate un té de manzanilla," right? Like that cures it all, right? And with that, I have to say that it's significantly impacted the Latinx community, or any underserving community, right? Um, my mother actually took, I think it was uh, about 4 or 5 weeks to disclose that she was having some anxiety attacks, right? And that if it took her that long for having a daughter who's a therapist, and, our entire family being very open about it, I can only imagine what other folks are struggling, right?
Mhm.
In my experience in working with the Latinx community, you think of like meeting your basic needs, right? And a lot of folks have been either be like laid off, they don't have the flexibility, and even folks who are able to pay for like nannies and babysitters, that folks don't have the means to do that. If anything, folks are having to work two jobs, so being very creative. Not too long ago, I was also reading an article around gender, basically saying that, women are in the state of survival constantly, right? They're always feeling in an anxious state, and the way, especially the Latinx community, tends to survive during this time is through building a sense of community. Either it be through cleaning, spending most time finding themselves cleaning, being collectively checking in on everybody, like how are you doing?
Mhm.
What is there something that I can feed you? Is there something in the house that I can clean? So a lot of folks in the Latinx community are finding themselves coping through those matters during this time, especially the women in the family, but
Mhm.
certainly have been greatly impacted primarily because of the financial and the resources. I mean, not to imagine the immigrant community; they're not even able to obtain any kind of support from the government. And it's if you think about what is it that I need to tackle during this time, the last thing you're going to think about is I'm going to go spend money or try to look for resources to get to seek for
Mhm.
um either be therapy, right? Where it's like, well, I have to make sure that I provide um for my family.
Yeah. And guys out there, thank you, Stephanie. On the Facebook, please continue to ask your questions. We'll get to them shortly. If you have any comments as well, please do that. So, one of the articles or podcast I should say, that I posted about 2 weeks ago was around Brene Brown, and she speaks a lot about various topics but this one in particular was around anxiety, right? When you look at Latinos, some of the top mental health challenges are anxiety, are depression, are postpartum trauma, along with others, but those are the top three. And specifically right now, you mentioned, right, with your mom and admitting in terms of anxiety attacks, I do believe that everyone is on a spectrum, right, in terms of how you not only embrace or feel anxiety, but also how do you handle it, right, and how do you address it. So what can you share in terms of, one, how do we figure out where on the spectrum we may be, and then two, how do we not combat it or address it or handle it, especially now, right?
Certainly. Well, the thing is like anxiety, it's not like a cookie cutter, right? Like you said, it's on a spectrum. It's not one of those things where, okay, it's very obvious. Like folks could really play it out in a different way. Either it primarily be like physical symptoms, right?
Mhm.
Fatigue, constant worry, lack of concentration, irritability. Like it truly varies. So it's in general something that clinicians need to work through and assess with clients. But the thing about the state that we're in right now is we're all grieving, right? There's
Mhm.
significant losses and ambiguous losses, and just the uncertainty of how we're going to transition back has put us all in a state of feeling anxious, and that's totally normal. It's not pathological, right? It's not that I'm saying everybody is officially diagnosed with anxiety, but I can tell you that everybody that comes in to reach out to me says like, am I do I have an anxiety disorder? Do I have depression? Do I have agoraphobia, which is fear of going out, leaving
Mhm.
going out in public? And I say, just because you're very fearful of going to the grocery store, and your grocery trip taking 2 hours longer than normal, and you having to spend so much time disinfecting it, you're in a state of survival. It's completely normal for you to be
Mhm.
experiencing this. And if you already are prone or have been struggling with anxiety and depression, it just may be exacerbated. But the reality is that we're all going through it, right? I've had, and to share some of the patterns since we went into the shelter in place.
Mhm.
Folks tell me that they're struggling with, you know, concentration, right? That they're struggling with like the fear of not knowing what's going to happen to loved ones that they're not close to, right? The constant need to be like snacking with food and just feeling out of character, right? Like
Mhm.
noticing that they're finding themselves like more self-focused, focusing on the little things over and over again throughout the day.
Mhm.
So all of these things that can easily look into like, oh, this person might potentially have anxiety. The reality is the excessive stress, the excessive amount of time that you're putting yourself in this like fight and flight stage
Mhm.
causes you to experience like significant stress. And when you are experiencing stress, you're signaling your body, and we can talk about the biology about it, right? And you're signaling your body, you're signaling to your sympathetic system, hey, overproduce. And I don't mean overproduce by being productive or being like an overachiever and being busy.
Mhm.
No, it's telling your body, hey, like, start palpitating faster,
Mhm.
have ruminating, just like, thoughts, and have a difficulty falling asleep, have, just increase your heart rate. So you're basically, you're in a state constantly, and we've been in this state for about a month and a half now.
And you're in the Bay Area, so you guys a little bit longer. I mean, we're in Chicago.
Yeah.
So Stephanie, can we now? I know we've talked a little bit. Share like what are some resources? What can we do to better take care of ourselves now? And then you mentioned, is it agoraphobia? Can you say that again?
Yeah.
Can you say it again?
Agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia. So let's say now we're talking, the government's talking about phasing, going back to normal, right? I could imagine that even increasing because not everybody, because until the vaccine and everybody's got it, no one's going to feel 100% safe
Mhm.
out there, right? So what can we do? What are some resources that you can share, some steps that we can take to ensure that we're taking care of our mental health on a daily basis?
Yeah, so like you mentioned before, I'm definitely going to go back to the Facebook and try to
Mm-hmm.
answer any questions and send over as many links as I possibly can. I have a couple of either it be workbooks or websites in the community. One of the things that I like to do is, I tell my clients is try to keep it to one source, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't find yourself looking at social media, so many other outlets to try to get information. Stick with one credible source and then follow through with that. So what I do is I'll send them resources and articles, and I'll also send them websites or like apps like the Calm app, like Head,
Mm-hmm.
where they can do some meditation, as well as some other links where they have, either be like breathing exercise, progressive muscle relaxation, soothing exercise, visualization exercises that they can do in the comfort of their own home. That could just be very private, 5-10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
do. So I'll be, sending out a couple of those resources. But in general, I use there's this skill that I'm just very keen on, and I think, as I was saying, because we're in a state of survival, the first thing before we try to think about the thought or what we're going to do next, we need to first regulate our body. Before
Mm-hmm.
we go into trying to do anything else, we have to regulate our bodies. And the way that we can regulate our body is by using the tip scale. And I'll be happy to like share a little bit more, and I can send it to you and you can send it.
Mm-hmm.
But a tip scale is abbreviation for temperature, intense workout, paced breathing, and progressive muscle relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
Those four things activate, certain the dive reflex, which is like certain body parts to shut down and really decrease the either be your intense emotion or your body performing like overreacting during this time. So and I actually made my mom do it, and it was very beneficial for her. Is I told her to get a bowl of cold water, add some ice in it,
Uh-huh.
take a deep breath, stick her head in there for 30 seconds, make sure her cheeks are in there as well. Take a deep breath again and then try doing it again. I obviously don't recommend it if you have a heart condition, disclaimer. Right? But if you do, when you do, you're basically activating a part of your brain that's telling your body to shut down, to regulate in a way, right? Intensive workout, I'm pretty sure if you've ever done like a jumping jacks until you run out of breath, or like a CrossFit or running, that you find yourself that you can't stay emotionally dysregulated for that long.
Mm-hmm.
That you're so physically exhausted that you're like, "Ah, I need to like just think about doing something nice," or you're actually smiling. So that's going to help you regulate your body. The paced breathing, again, it's not deep breathing, it's relaxed breathing, so calm breathing, right? So focusing more on your exhale. And then the progressive muscle relaxation to support you in tensing and releasing the tension in your body. So just even those in it itself could tackle the baseline, right? Which is what you're currently experiencing
So
on a
do you do those in that order, or do you scatter them throughout a week? Is it one day, or how does that?
you use them whenever you need them. I
Mm,
I would highly recommend that you do them consistently. I wouldn't be as grounded as I am during this time if it wasn't for at least meeting my basic needs, right? Which is even just incorporating some kind of physical activity, right?
mhm,
But use them for what you need. Even let's say you're finding yourself irritable throughout the day, you can try the temperature exercise, the bucket of water, right? Or you can go for an intense workout.
mhm.
Or if you incorporate those things, I mean, I don't want you to do the temperature one every day, but obviously that could be whenever you let's say other resources don't work, but just the pace breathing in it itself, you practicing that multiple times throughout the day would be very beneficial during this time,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
even like taking a few seconds and taking a deep breath. I've been doing the high intensity workouts and yoga, but I'm trying to still master the art of meditation. I think that one definitely takes a lot of time and concentration. So any tips for that?
Yeah, and with that too is like one of the things I always say is, during this time too, connect with the things that you value. Don't see it as like, am I being productive? Am I
Mhm,
not like, instead of assessing your day as a checklist, see it as like, is what I'm doing right now going to benefit me at this moment? Is it going to benefit me today? Right. So
thank
even just starting with like little activities like, like the breathing, that in it itself is going to get you to that step of mastering meditation.
mhm,
Right. So
mhm.
like just allowing yourself to focus on like one thing at a time and seeing the value in it.
Absolutely. Stefany, thank you so much. So you guys out there continue to like, comment, share as this will continue to be a resource for those within your own Facebook network. And so we'll go into any questions or comments. I think one that I see now is regarding does your organization connect students with professionals who offer scholarships in the same field? I have a sister and cousin who want to go into the medicine field. So ASE, we do have folks in our network that we're happy to connect as a mentor, as in a resource. And then we're able to also provide connections to those that are offering scholarships in that particular field. Do we have any others? Let's see here. See, almost done here. Stefany, anything else you want to add?
Um, I would truly say to allow yourself to stay in the moment. I've noticed that even just week to week, there's been a different pattern. We're all just going through like different phases. And I would honestly say just allowing yourself to focus on the next 24 hours is is a success, right? And instead of worrying so much, to find yourself planning what you can do, either be like the next day or
Mm-hmm.
focusing on the things that you do have control and accept what you don't have control and the things that are happening now, right?
Yeah. And then the tips scale. So one more time, what does that stand for?
So, yeah, so the tip is T is for temperature, I
Mhm.
is for intense workout, P is for pace. The first P is for pace breathing, and then the last P is for progressive muscle relaxation.
Thank you, Stefany, for your time. And again, she will be going on to the Facebook page and answering any questions and sharing additional resources. We appreciate your time today. And one last shout out for Cafe Ama. If you haven't done so already, please submit your email and learn more about this wonderful coffee that is also supporting our weekly Cafecito. So thank you to everyone. Have a good day. Thank you, Stefany. Bye-bye.